Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are talking right now with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com, previewing a selection of games from college football. Week 8, Joe Duffy takes all the tough ones I asked him to take, and right now he's going to take Michigan State, Indiana. Tough one here. Indiana just lost their starting quarterback. Joe Duffy, thanks for being back with us.
Thank you, Peter.
All right. Give a very, very well-earned plug for your website. The important thing is to remind folks how you do when you're choosing all the games that you like as the ones that you believe you have a big edge on.
Yeah, no, nice NFL weekend. We went 4-0 with our games against the spread. We did have a money line underdog that was juice-free. It fell short, and then a total. So 4-2 overall, but 4-0 with games against the spread, and 27 years of winning continued. Another nice big weekend in store at OffshoreInsiders.com. Not complete, but I've got some strong notes, some check marks next to some games. Going to be a very nice weekend in NFL and college football.
All right, sounds good. Well, this is a tough one, right? Michigan State, Indiana. Indiana's a 13.5 or 14.5 point home underdog right now, and that just shows how uncertain the market is about it. I think it opened at 15. Of course, the big news here is that Indiana lost their starting quarterback. They are going to be starting a freshman here. Michigan State has Michigan up next. Indiana has a bye up next. So I'm thinking that, I'm going to be looking to maybe bet the under if it's a relatively modest total. But, of course, totals aren't out yet, so we don't know where it's going to be. It could be down somewhere in the 40s. But, I'm thinking maybe this will be, 56, somewhere around there. And if it is, maybe I'll be thinking about taking a shot with the under. We're not exactly sure what Indy's game plan is going to be, how this freshman quarterback is going to do. Michigan State obviously has an edge here, but on the road with Michigan up next with a two-touchdown favorite. This is one of these tough lines. This is why, you're the only one who's willing to take these games. What do you think, Joe Duffy?
No, you brought up the most important part, that Chris Covington is actually going to be starting at quarterback. He was not even recruited as a quarterback at Indiana. And, there are certain teams out there that the SEC powerhouses that maybe they can lose a quarterback and the rest of the team will rally around it because they've got so much talent at other positions. But Indiana is certainly not in that class. Now, Indiana, overall on the surface, they would seem to be a somewhat dangerous dog, and their defensive numbers for the year aren't too bad, but they just allowed 45 points to a very mediocre offense, including 316 on the ground. And these teams that don't have a lot of depth, as they get deeper into the conference schedule, it's usually when their numbers start regressing to the mean. And I think that is really the case here with Indiana, especially, Nate Sudfeld. He wasn't that fantastic. He wasn't that great of a quarterback, but he threw for 1,151 yards, 6 touchdowns against only 3 interceptions, and now going to a freshman. That's really going to be a tough situation to debut. Yeah, sure, it's at home, but it's against one of the better teams in the country, Michigan State. They rank 5th in the nation in rushing defense. So it's not like Indiana can say, hey, we'll be a little conservative here with the freshmen starting, because Michigan State is phenomenal against the run. Remember, they limited Amir Abdullah, who was one of the co-favorites for the Heisman, maybe arguably knocked him out of the Heisman race, or at least knocked him away from among the favorites. Now with Gurley apparently out, he can sneak back in. But anyway, they held him to 45 yards on 24 carries. Now they can focus on the run, stack the box. Michigan State, yeah, the likelihood of a Big Ten team having one loss and sneaking into the playoffs isn't super high, but you just never know. I mean, Michigan State, if they can run the table, remember their one loss was at Oregon, so that's certainly not a bad loss by any stretch of the imagination. So many teams, it always seems to be a case where the other teams beat up each other. So Michigan State still has a chance to sneak into the playoff picture, but they have to start thinking statement right here. Mm-hmm. They've got the ability. And again, playing the freshman quarterback, a so-so team off of a bad defensive effort, I think this game should get ugly.
All right, and it doesn't concern you that it's maybe a little bit of an obvious play, the team missing their, or do you think that maybe the public isn't quite aware of the quarterback situation yet?
No, I mean, I will say this. Over the many years, no, I think they are, but over the many years, when a pick seemed too obvious, no, that hasn't been a deterrent for me. I think those obvious-looking picks. I mean, look, last week maybe I did get a little lucky. We talked about the Denver Broncos against the Jets. I guess either way you could have argued if the Jets covered, you could have said, man, the Broncos let them back into the game. But that was an example of a play that we questioned, is a play that looks that obvious. Is it too obvious? And maybe we got a little bit of a good beat there. But no, more times than not, the plays that look too obvious are and not that this is the most obvious looking play, to be honest with you, but no, I fear not to go with the chalk here, even though over the years I've been more of a dog player.
Yeah, 13.5, all things considered, not that huge of a line, less than 2 touchdowns. Joe Duffy recommending play on Michigan State, currently minus 13.5. We'll see where this line moves by kickoff. Wouldn't be surprised if we see something like 16 or 17, right, Joe?
No, I definitely agree with that. The public betting on an underdog with a new quarterback, that would surprise me.
Right. All right. Thanks, Joe.
The SBR Network offers free sports picks and game breakdowns, big money free betting contests year-round, a real-time Vegas-style odds monitoring service, and much more. So come see for yourself. To stay updated on SBR news and promotions, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+, and do be sure to subscribe to the Sportsbook Review YouTube channel to catch all our daily sports shows.